All right, hello everybody. We are here for our last session with Dr. Vemuri. Thank you so much, Dr. Vemuri, for being with us. I'm going to make you the presenter, and and you can get started.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is the fourth and the final webinar where we are sharing ideas with local instructors. Okay, if you still have questions, you can always send me email anytime after this webinar for 2-3 months until the actual course starts. Okay, but today you will have plenty of time at the end to ask questions. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to spend about a few minutes going through the syllabus for the 10 weeks of Introduction to AI. I'm hoping it starts sometime in September, October, whichever date it is, depending on the COVID situation in India. So let me quickly go through the outline so you know what I will be covering there. Webinar 1, a pictorial introduction to AI. In this webinar, I will show a lot of pictures telling where AI is getting applied and all kinds of applications, machine learning, text processing, speech recognition, robotics, vision, etc., etc. So it is a kind of interesting, like a movie with still pictures shown about AI. And on this day, I'm also going to ask the students to propose a topic for a project they will choose. This is a little difficult for them to do because they haven't learned anything yet. But this is the place you instructors can help them on choosing a project. Everything that is in red is something that the students are supposed to do. Okay, so the project students form 2 or 3 per team and submit a 2 to 3 sentence idea of a project proposal. It doesn't have to be a very elaborate thing. Oh yeah, I want to do something like this. They have to come up with some idea, and then they will keep on developing that idea over a 10-week period. Okay. And webinar 2, I'm going to talk about what is called the AI ecosystem. Okay. Here I'm going to talk about different types of AI agents. Agents is a technical word. Agent is like a robot. Okay. So the software version of a robot is called an agent. Okay. A hardware version is called a robot. Okay. What kind of agents can we build? Okay. It'll take probably whole hour. And then we are going to ask the students to revise that 1 or 2 sentence proposal they gave you and submit a little more bigger proposal, maybe 4 or 5 sentences now, maybe a small paragraph telling this is what I want to do. Okay. And these submissions will be made to you. So you look at the idea, you can discuss with them with completely free transaction of information. There is nothing to be punishing the student or anything. We collaborate with the student to help the idea. Okay. And then on webinar 3, I'm going to talk about how do you derive actionable intelligence from data. This is crucial. That means for most of the AI applications, we will have data. Given data, how do you get useful information out of the data? Okay, this is the beginning of AI. So I'll talk about that. And once again, we'll ask the student to show their progress. Basically, they meet their local instructors and tell them what they have been doing. Are they thinking about it? What kind of thinking is going on? And you, as a big brother, should help them with their mode of thinking. If they have problems, you help them. And this slide in green are all things I'm expecting you to do. That means the local instructors are encouraged, are actually, I'm expecting you to do these things. If you don't know any of these things, learn them during the next 2 months. So you're getting ready. So I'm going to only touch upon these things, but I'm going to ask you to spend some time to learn about them. One of the first things I expect you to learn is how to use an Excel spreadsheet or Google Docs or both, depending on your talent and enthusiasm and curiosity. Excel is a software that comes from Microsoft Office. If you have Microsoft Office license available, Excel automatically comes with that Office. Then you are fine. I encourage you to learn Excel because once you have the license, you don't have to pay anything. But if you college doesn't have a license, please do not use pirated copies. There is an equivalent document called Google Docs that is free. It will do more or less everything that Excel does. So you can use that for free without violating copyright rules. Okay. So I encourage you to do this. You don't have to wait for my lecture. You starting from tomorrow, try to learn how to use those two tools. Okay, that is very important. Next, if you are already having some computer programming talent, I'm assuming all of you are instructors in computer science, so you should have some programming talent. Then I'm asking you to make sure you learn a little about Python. If you already know programming, learning Python is not a big deal. You spend about a week of an effort, you will learn enough of Python to do the job. And most of the Python interpreters come on almost all computers are equipped with Python. You simply have to know how to invoke Python. Okay. So I encourage you to do this and be familiar with what is called a Jupyter notebook and Python libraries. Python has a number of libraries. At least be familiar with the names of those libraries. Small questions you can ask me, but things like learning programming is something you have to do by getting your hands dirty. Then scikit-learn is in red. Here, what I'm expecting is by the end of the semester or quarter, whatever academic term that we are dealing with, I want our students to learn enough scikit-learn, although they don't know programming at the beginning. At the end of the semester, they should know a little bit about scikit-learn. This is a Python-based tool that makes programming very easy. That means if you understand how to use scikit-learn, you can do many machine learning things without too much expertise in programming. So I encourage you to learn that first, and then you encourage your students to practice this. So by the end of the 10th week, they know that. Okay. And then the last thing, there's what is called a Google Cloud, Google Colab, and GitHub. I'm not going to explain these things to you. Go to your search engine, put those words in, and see what those things are. Be familiar with what they are. You don't have to be an expert at it. Learn a little bit about it by searching in the search engine and find out, because those things and scikit-learn will make you and your students marketable in the marketplace. Okay, so this is a very important slide. All local instructors, I encourage you to learn these things. You learn them so that you can help your students. Then webinar 5 through 10 are basically topics I will be covering on machine learning: regression, classification and clustering, neural nets. These three topics are very good topics for projects, because most of the projects that you can ask students to do fall in these three categories. Okay, so it is important that you do not miss any of these three classes, and the students, once they learn these things, by that time they would have already gotten a data set and everything, and they can do a small project. And a webinar 8, 9, and 10 are kind of things I'm doing it to expand the horizons. I don't expect students to do any projects in these areas. Okay, genetic algorithms, natural language processing, and the future of AI. But on webinar ninth day, that means on the ninth week, the projects are due. So you have to keep monitoring the projects, and the project length should be, the written statement should be about 4 pages. Don't expect them to write 15, 20 pages. In 4 pages, they have to tell what they have done, and those 4 pages should include some results. Okay, I will show you the sample kinds of results that I am expecting. So that is the topic outline that I will be doing. Okay. There will be minor variations, but basically that is the idea. Okay. Here I'm listing some skills that every person with a machine learning background should have. I'm not asking all our students to know it, but what all I'm saying is if people know these skills, they will become extremely useful to them at some stage in their life. I already mentioned about Excel. And if you don't know Excel and you want to learn it, I gave a link there, YouTube link, that explains how to do Excel. So please go there and look at that link. And scikit-learn. Those are the two I expect you and your students to do. The remaining three are kind of optional. We don't need them for this class. But as instructors, I'm telling you that it will be good for you to know what those things are. Because if your student comes and asks, can I use Tabular too? You don't have to stare at them. You know what is Tabular too, and then you can tell them. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to give you some sample projects. This link here has a number of ideas on sample projects and even segments of code. So I encourage you to visit this site and look at all the projects they have. These are projects meant for high school students and so forth. So your students are just coming out of school. So these are useful ideas that you can look at. Okay. Let me skip this slide. You can look at them later on. Now, let us spend the rest of the day on looking at some example projects that, for example, you may see people doing. Like I have some data here. Okay. The first step in AI and machine learning is you have to have some data. Without data, there is nothing you can do. So I have data about advertising and sales. And as some companies using television advertising, radio advertising, and newspaper advertising, and they're keeping track of their sales. And those items are listed here. And I have 5 rows. That means I have 5 different strategies of how to advertise. And the data set itself contains about 50 items. But it's not enough for me to show you all 50 items. I'm showing you 5 items, and let us assume that's all the data we have. Okay, how am I going to do a project with this kind of data? Then you can use maybe 28 data items or 15 data items and ask your students to do a project. Okay, then okay. The first thing I may do is look at the data and say, I want to build a model. What is a model? This model is going to forecast, given how much money I'm spending on TV, radio, and newspaper advertisements. I want to predict how many things I'm going to sell. The last column is the number of items I'm selling. That is what I'm going to predict. Okay. So what I can do is I can come up with a simple linear model that says the total number of sales is equal to some constant A plus B times the amount of money spent on TV advertisement plus C times the amount of money spent on radio advertisement plus a D times the money spent on papers. This is an idea that I am proposing. I am not saying that is correct. This is only a proposed model. Okay. This may be right, this may not be right. So this is a hypothesis. We are hypothesizing. The only thing I'm emphasizing is it is a linear thing, that there are no squares, no square roots or anything. Everything is just A plus B, y equal to mx plus c kind of equation. Okay. Our goal is, using the data I gave you on the previous slide, find the values of A, B, C, and D. Okay. This is a fairly simple problem. You can ask your students to think and see how do you do it. Okay. I'm not going to show you how to do it, but the thing is, I want the students to encourage the students to think like what I'm thinking here. Okay. I started off with a linear model. Maybe it is correct, maybe it is not correct. And I'm saying, using the data I have, I'm going to find the constants A, B, C, and D. Okay. There are 4 unknown constants. Okay. There are many methods to solve this problem. There is no single method. For example, method 1, I call it a direct method. In this direct method, what I'm going to do is look at this thing. I have 5 rows. Okay, for each row, I can write an equation, right? Because the sales is equal to A plus B times the TV's advertisement, C times the radio advertisement, D times the newspaper advertisement. That is row 1. Like that, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5. For each of those rows, I can get a model that looks like that first line. Okay, that means there are 5 equations and there are 4 unknowns. A, B, C, and D are unknowns. So there are enough unknowns, there are enough equations and 4 unknowns, and I want you to solve for A, B, and C, D. A, B, C, and D. That is a problem. This is a simple enough problem. Only 5 equations. There, okay, and only 4 unknowns, and go ahead and solve them. Okay. The first question you can ask is this a well-formulated problem? Or am I going to have any problems? Okay. I'm not going to answer all these questions. You can ask yourself and think about it. Okay. That's first question. Is it a well-formulated problem? Or did I make a mistake? Or is there something else I have to do? Or what are the issues I have to face and so forth? And then the next question is it something I can solve with a paper, pencil, and a hand calculator? Because we are not expecting the students to know programming. So this is only 5 equations. Probably we know how to solve 2 equations, or maybe we know how to solve 1 equation. Can I apply the same method to solve 5 equations? But if it is so tedious to do 5 equations, can I use Excel? Can I use Google Doc? How do I use Excel to solve a system of equations? How do I use Google Doc to solve a system of equations? Can I use a graph paper to solve this problem? Or do I need a calculator? Do I need a computer? These are the questions I want you to ask yourself, and I want your students to ask. Finding a numerical solution to the problem is easy. That's not the issue here. I want people to think about ideas and anticipate problems and so forth. This is one method. Okay. As I told you, I'm not going to show you how to solve these things. These are fairly simple methods. Method 2, I will say, look, I will try to split this problem into smaller problems because 5 equations are too many for me. You may say 5 equations are not too many for you. Then I will say, I'm going to give you 50 equations. Then what will you do? Okay, 50 equations is too many. Okay, then how do I do it? Can I split them into groups of 5 equations each and solve them? Okay, like for example, is it possible to say I will start with 3 simple models? One is sales is equal to A plus B times TV. That means in that equation, I'm ignoring any money I'm spending on radio and newspapers. I'm only looking at TV advertisement, and I'm going to make a prediction based on that. Is that a good model? At least this model is simple. There are only 2 unknowns, and you only deal with TV. That means only one data item. Or maybe I will have another model that says sales equal to A plus C times radio. Another model that says sales equal to A plus D times newspapers. Okay, that means I'm splitting this into 3 separate advertisement campaigns and making predictions about the sales. And is this possible? If I do this, that I can come up with a combined answer. Okay, do you see any problems in this kind of thing? And what is the motivation behind my desire to split it like this? Why did I want to do into A plus B, A plus C, A plus D kind of splitting? Is there some reason why I'm doing it? Does it make the problem simpler? Okay, but if I do it, is the problem missing something? Because these are the things we can discuss with your students. Okay, and as a matter of fact, we can even ask a bigger question: what is our goal here? Is our goal finding A, B, C, and D? Is that it? Once I find A, B, C, and D, are we done? Why are we trying to find A, B, C, and D? There must be an ulterior motive. The company who hired you to do the analysis, they're not interested in A, B, C, and D. They're interested in something else. What is that something else? What are you going to do with those 4 constants to help your company make profit? Those are the questions we have to keep asking. Asking the right kind of question is important. Okay, that's method 2. Method 3, Okay, this is called multiple linear regression as opposed to linear regression. Okay, in this case, I separated the problem into three simple linear regressions: A plus B times TV, A plus C times radio, A plus D times papers. These are three simple linear regressions. Here, I'm saying I don't want to split it like that. I want to keep this thing all together, like that equation at the bottom of the slide, like alpha 0 plus alpha 1 x1 plus alpha 2 x2, like that. Okay, where x1 is newspapers, x2 is TV, x3 is radio, like that. Okay, you can have as many things as you want in that case. That is called multiple linear regression. Okay. Obviously, when I use this kind of thing, it's impossible to use a graph paper. You can only use a graph paper if I have only one x and one y. If I have three or n number of x's, you cannot use a graph paper. So you have to use a computer, obviously. And then, can I use Excel to solve a problem like this? I have been pushing Excel, right? And there are tools in Excel that allow you to solve this kind of a problem. So what I'm saying is, to solve a problem like this, learn to install DAT, that is a software package on your computer. Okay, this is again in Excel. It is called a data analysis tool. Go to Excel or ask a question in a search engine, what is the data analysis tool in Excel? Actually, one of the links I gave you explains this. Okay, you get an Excel, install the data analysis tool on that Excel, and then it is a matter of just inserting the data into the data analysis tool and pressing a couple of buttons and you will get the answer. Okay, suppose I do that. What is the disadvantage of that? Is there an advantage doing the hard way that I showed you in method 1 and 2? Is there an advantage of going through Excel and pressing a few buttons and getting an answer without knowing what is happening behind the scenes? Okay, these are the things I want you and your students to spend time understanding. The actual result is not of importance to me. Your ability to ask the questions, your ability to analyze the given problem and analyze the options that are available is very important. Okay, because nowadays there are tools that will help you to solve any complicated machine learning problem with the push of a button. You don't have to really write code. Okay, one push of a button, the solution comes out. But if you don't know what the computer is doing behind the doors, and if you look at the solution, you will be helpless. You don't know what that number means. So you have got to go through these procedures. Okay. Method 4. That's what I was telling. Using machine learning tools in Python libraries and scikit-learn are all the things that are available to solve these problems very easily. Those of you who are smart, you should use this opportunity to learn as much as you can about Python, as much as you can about scikit-learn, and as much as you can about these Python libraries: pandas, numpy, scikit-learn, matplotlib, seaborn. These are the things. Even if you know superficially how to use these things, it's not very difficult to learn superficially. Your ability to solve problems increases exponentially. Okay, that is what I want to emphasize. So don't assume simply because we said programming is not a prerequisite for this course. We never said that you should not learn programming. We want you to learn programming in this class to some extent so that you are not handicapped with a lack of knowledge of programming. Okay? Okay. Now I gave you a feel for what a project looks like, and I gave you 5 data items. But in your project, you can take up to maybe maximum 30 data items, not much more than that. Okay, so there are so many data sets that are available. You can choose 15 data items and 15 rows in a table. Okay, maybe 4 or 5 columns and 15 rows is about the size of a table that you can handle in a project in this class. Okay, look at the data sets that are available and pick some simple data sets and study them, and first look at them as 2 or 3 rows of a table. try to understand what is happening. Once you understand what is happening, then you take about 15-20 rows and try to see if you can use an Excel spreadsheet or calculator to solve these problems. Okay. If you still have questions that you are not able to find when you are dealing with a student, these are all my ways of doing it. First of all, ask your teacher. Like during my lectures, if you have a doubt, raise a question and I will try to answer. If not, ask a friend. There is nothing wrong in asking a friend and trying to find an answer. Remember, I told you a Sanskrit sloka at the beginning of this class? There are 4 ways to do it. Learn something by yourself, ask a student, ask your teacher, like that. Okay. Search the World Wide Web using your favorite search engine. I do most of it using that kind of thing. Look at Quora. Quora is a platform. I encourage you to do it. Quora. It is questions and answers. That is what Quora means. It is available in English. It is available in Telugu. It is available in Hindi. It is available in Gujarati, all Indian languages. So you just have to go to Quora and search for the proper link. And there you will find answers to any question. Doesn't have to be machine learning. You can say, what is happening with YSR Reddy doing something in Andhra Pradesh politics? You will find an answer there. You can find an answer. Are cell phones going to cause brain tumors? Yeah, you will find an answer there. Don't assume those answers are right, but at least some clown somewhere is answering your question. Okay, and then you can look at it and it may expand your horizons. And I routinely write answers in Telugu Quora to help students who have difficulty with English. Okay, I myself, when I was young, I had difficulty with English. I was always looking for someone who can explain things to me in Telugu. There is nothing to feel ashamed about saying I have difficulty learning, speaking, and understanding English. Please tell me in my native language. Okay. Unfortunately, I cannot speak Hindi, so I don't do Quora in Hindi. But Telugu, you will find. You can ask questions on Quora, and I can answer them for you. There are lots of blogs where people discuss this. I want you to develop the habit of looking at these things, but be careful. When you look on the websites of other people, the other person may be a very well qualified professor, maybe a Nobel laureate, or somebody who doesn't know anything. It could be anybody who can answer your question. It is up to you to decide the quality of the answer. Okay, it's very difficult for you to know who is answering authoritatively and who is answering with half-baked knowledge. So when you look at these public domain platforms, you have to be careful. Okay. Okay. I'm now opening the floor for questions. You have half an hour time. You can ask me any question for and that fits your imagination. I'll answer them, and then you can always send me questions via email.
Okay, so here we are. Okay, we have seen the timetable, what Professor Vemuri will do, and the students are in front of him. And you have seen very clearly what is expected from you as faculty coaches for the students. So questions? Let's have some comments, questions, because between now and the time classes start and the students come on board, you have time to prepare yourself. And so we have some, are there any reference books for instructors?
Okay. I, if I remember correctly, I have uploaded a ebook into your class website, and Srinath probably knows it, how to look for it. Do you have the access to your class website? Then you should have a copy of a book that I have uploaded, and that should be adequate for the purpose of this class. Okay, so you don't have to buy it. The whole book is available as a ebook. You can look at it, and if you are savvy, you can look at the web. You can search the website. You use a search engine. Maybe there are other books that are available for free. You can look at them and see which one suits your taste. But I did upload one book.
Okay, very good. The next question is this from Balaji. Should we consider this as our workload in college or shouldn't? I think the important point here is you should take this assignment very, very seriously. Okay. And I see that at least 40 of you are taking it seriously. Maybe a few others are not coming that regularly. If you take it seriously, that means you're going to put in quality time to make it successful for your students. And so there is definitely, you should consider it as a workload in your college. And you have to make sure that your HOD or your administrators understand that, because this is a program that has been devised and discussed with your leaders of your institution, and that is how they have nominated you. So it is important for you to be clear as to what they expect from you in terms of time commitments, because if you are just doing it casually and not taking it seriously, then you are wasting your time, Dr. Vemuri's time, and the students' time also. So you should be taking it seriously and consider it as part of your workload, and make sure you have that discussion with your HODs or somebody else, so that you are not feeling, oh, I'm doing too much overload and other people are not doing anything. Why should I do this? All those kinds of negative thoughts will come to your mind, in which case then it's a waste for you to be in this particular program. Okay, so be positive. It's an exciting program, and work it out so that you can devote quality time to make sure students are benefiting from it. Hey, would you like to comment on that, Vemuri?
Yeah, no, that I think you answered the question correctly. I think the administration should give some recognition to the time that it takes to prepare for these things and to handle the students and so forth. And they should talk to their head of the department and figure this out.
Okay, Neha's asking another question. Only first year students to be involved, or we may consider other students as well? Except how many students engage? Okay, this has already been decided, Neha. Maybe it was not communicated to you properly. In this program, only first year students and only 5 students, okay, from your college, of your particular, and you will be only mentoring 5 students from your college. So whoever has nominated you has understood it, or maybe not understood that completely, and that is why between now and the next month or two, we will continue to have meetings with you, and so you can communicate with your administrators. And when the first year students come in, new first year students, not past, the new ones that come in September or whenever they come in, because the COVID, we don't know when that's going to happen. Some universities, so whenever they come in, we will have a process through which your institution will work with you to identify those 5 students in your first year. Okay, and then you only work with that. That's the pilot. Maximum is 5. So we have 40 institutions. That means for 40 into 5, 200 students will be in this course from all these combined, and that is what that's and Dr. Vemuri will be giving the lecture in common to all the 200 or 250 students that will be in this course, and each of you will be taking your piece, your 5 students, and working with them as indicated to the various slides that Dr. Vemuri has suggested. Okay.
Can I add one
Nitish?
comment?
Sure, absolutely, yes, yes.
Remember the students, the 5 students you are getting are just coming out of high school. They're young students, impressionable students, and probably they're scared. So you have to be very supportive in understanding their anxieties and provide a supportive environment rather than I'm a teacher and you are a student, and that fear between teacher and student should not be there. You should encourage them to ask questions without fear, so that there is an exchange. It's possible that you don't know the answer to the question, then you come and ask me. And if I know the answer, I will tell. If I don't, I will tell. I don't know the answer, I will find out. So, but encourage the students to feel comfortable with you. Okay.
Okay, good. Nitish is asking about the programming. Is Python the only language that we might try to use, or can we use R programming, R language?
Okay, if R is equally popular as Python, if you are comfortable with R, by all means, you can use R and you can encourage your students to learn R, no problem. Okay, the only thing is when I talk in the class, I only refer to Python related libraries and so forth, simply because I'm more familiar with Python. Okay, but if you are good at R, it is equally a good tool. You can use it.
Okay, very good. Suguna is asking, even though I'm from CSE background, I have not explored Excel that much. I'm excited to use DAT for regression. Thank you. She's just making a comment. Good for you, Suguna. Uh, from Dr. Jagadish, how much statistics is needed before for this course? Accordingly, we can work on framing the prerequisite of engineering math.
How much what?
Statistics
Oh,
knowledge.
statistics. Okay. For this course, you really don't need much statistics. Okay. Like average, maximum, minimum, standard deviation, probably terms like that. If they have an intuitive understanding of those things, that should be enough. Okay. For not for this particular course. But if you are interested in machine learning in a deeper level, yes, a good knowledge of statistics is invariably an asset. Okay, but for this course, basic ideas about statistics is adequate. I may not even use words like normal distribution, bell curve, and all these things, not in this class. Remember, this is an introductory material just to make sure they understand what is AI. And for example, one opportunity for us is during the process, you can tell them, look, this is the place. A deeper understanding of statistics will help you. Like, for example, I will tell you how many rows of a table I should take. I showed you 5 rows of that advertising. Is 5 rows enough to make a forecast? Maybe 10 rows are required. Maybe 15 rows are required. Or do I need a 100 rows? That is a natural question that somebody will ask. How much of data is minimum that I have to have before I can make a prediction? Here is an example of some knowledge of statistics. Statistics tells us that there is what is called small sample theory. At least you should have a sample of 30 items before you can make a meaningful prediction. Okay, without knowing too much about going into too many details. So with that background, if I'm teaching a class, if a student comes and says, look, how many rows of a table I should consider, then I will say, look, start with 5 or 10 rows, try to understand what is happening. Once you have a decent feel for how the calculation is done, then take at least 30 rows and do the problem. Where did I get the 30? At the back of my mind, I know small sampling theory tells that the minimum sample size is 30. Okay, but this is a subtle point. If you don't know it, the sky is not going to break loose. Okay, because you asked the question, I'm telling that the more you know statistics, the more competent you will be in solving machine learning problems. But for this freshman course, you don't need this level of sophistication.
Okay. Again, another comment from Balaji. It's a good program for students. I feel it's good to take it forward for the higher semesters as well, so that students will be exposed more to the field of AI. You're absolutely right. And what you do with this course, Dr. Balaji, you and your college does the course will be entirely up to you and your other faculty and your administration. All that we are doing from IUC side is introducing you to this possibility, to this pilot, with 5 students that you will be guiding. So once we go through this pilot the first year, this first year, we'll all colleges, all of you who participate in the experiment, we will get together and discuss and try to understand where do we go from here. Next year should we have all the first year students take such a course? Okay, that's another possibility. Some of your institutions might decide that the in year 2022, 22, and 23, you might decide that all your first year students might take this kind of a course, and you will offer it using some recordings from Dr. Vemuri's class and so on. That might happen, or you might decide, okay, we will do this first year for a year, and then the following year we'll try to do it for all years, second year, all students in second year, not just computer science, but all disciplines. Remember, there is a big discussion going on all over the world about AI for all in all the 4 years of engineering. Everybody should become good at AI because every field will require these kind of things. So do you want to make a comment on that, Vemuri Garu?
That's it. I think you got it right.
Okay, let's see. Other questions, comments, okay. Chayan Paul, from the syllabus you have shown, I have a feeling that the course is more about of machine learning and data science than AI.
That's correct. That's correct. Because if you now we are splitting the hairs about what exactly is the definition of AI. Okay, AI is a huge subject. I cannot possibly cover the entire subject in 10 weeks. So what all we are doing is I picked some topics that can be handled with minimum of background, minimum of programming skills, and so on and so forth. So the syllabus I showed is tailored so that I can do these things with paper and pencil or maybe hand calculator, so they get a sample of what the most fashionable part of AI is doing right now. But if you take a very strict definition, there are lots of things you can do, but it requires a lot of background before you can take this course.
Yes, Kaushik has a comment. So maybe we require to give some orientation to the first year students so that we get 5 motivated students. Absolutely, yes. So this will not be something that you will do immediately as soon as the first year students come in. What you will do is you will prepare a small announcement that this is a special course only for certain 5 motivated students, and then you work out a mechanism by which you pick 5 students, maybe one from each department, 5 different departments, so that you can illustrate how this is a interdisciplinary course. So that will be entirely up to you and your HOD or administrator to decide how you will select these 5 students, and we can help you and guide you with that. So therefore, between now and the time class starts, I will be meeting with all of you quite regularly, once every 2 or 3 weeks, to just talk about these kinds of things. Okay, so that's a good point, Kaushik. Okay, that's all the questions I have right now in front of me. So, any more questions, guys, or shall we just wind up for the day? There's a recording. Recordings are on the website. I would encourage everybody. I know for various reasons, some of you have not been able to attend some of these for one, some of maybe one or two of these sessions, and for various reasons, some of you, I think when we started today, there were only 20 people. Now there are almost 40. That means some of you missed the very important things that we talked about in the first 5 or 10 or 15 minutes. So make sure you go to Canvas and pick up all the missing pieces of information that you will find useful. That Canvas will be kept open for you. And in fact, what we will do after this formal sessions are over, we'll have a discussion forum on Canvas so that all of you can discuss with each other how you are preparing for this course, and share your information with each other, and that will be a nice way for all of you to actually have common brotherhood or sisterhood about building this up in your own college and share things. Okay.
Yeah, may I
Neha, go ahead.
add a comment there?
Yeah.
I think the discussion forum on Canvas is a very useful tool for you, because if you want to talk to somebody about something you are struggling with, suppose you don't exactly understand how to use a particular Excel command, you try to figure out, you couldn't figure out, go to the discussion page and discuss with your colleagues in another town. Say, look, I'm having difficulty. Can someone help me with how to do this? If you help among yourself, among instructors, that is one way to improve what you are doing. When I was teaching, if I have a problem, if I don't understand, I generally do not hesitate. I go to another professor who had taught this course earlier and say, look, I don't seem to understand how to handle this. They will tell me, okay, that is the way to do it. Simply because I'm a professor, that doesn't mean I know everything. So it is possible that you may not understand something. Go to the discussion forum, help each other out. That is the way to learn.
Yeah, so we'll be encouraging and prodding you. I'll keep the canvas open and have discussions with you as you move forward. So great. Another comment from Neha is whether we must encourage use of Excel and spreadsheets, or more of Python and its libraries, or both.
Both, depending on your talent and your students' talent. What I'm looking for is a minimum talent so that they can do a project. But if students are smart and coming forward aggressively, they can learn both. What is there? 1 week of effort will give you a working knowledge of Excel, and 2 weeks of effort will give you a working knowledge of Python.
That's
Okay,
a good
so
point.
why do we have? So you can use either one of them, but a minimum you need one of them. But if
Mhm.
you have the talent, have both of them. Why not? Both of
Good
them will
point.
get you jobs.
Good point. It's, as he says, it's up to you and the students. If if you don't have the background and have difficulty, then stick with Excel spreadsheets. But if you think you can, use programs and libraries, yeah, go ahead. Get to the higher level, and that's why this course is kept flexible. We have about 40 institutions involved, 30, 40 institutions involved. So we want to get everybody a chance to succeed in what this program is all about. Okay. And somebody was asking about the background for the students. Well, they're all coming from high school, so there's nothing you can do to prepare their background. They already came prepared. Only your only choice will be to pick students, which if you think that is the type of student that will be successful, and that is something internally you and your HODs or somebody has to, your principal has to have some discussion how to select. That's why we have time now, 2 3 months, to have that strategy. We'll have regular meetings among us, bring all of you together once, and we'll chat about these kinds of how to uh, do the administration part of it. Okay, great. All right, so I think it looks like we can let you go, Dr. Vemuri. We're all done.
Okay. Okay. Well, good luck to all of you, and I hope this course gets going. And in that case, I will see you in a couple of months.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Vemuri, for such an inspirational
Okay.
introduction
Wonderful.
to the
Have a great
course.
day. Bye.
Have a good day, all of you. Yeah, bye.